Hey guys, this is Ryan from Tea and Crumpet Gaming. I was just going to go over some of the Warlock talents, because obviously everyone's got a new tree now. For those of you that haven't got beta yet, or possibly aren't getting it, I was just going to review the tree for you. I'm up in the Stormwind Tower because it can get a bit of a clusterfuck down in the old dummy bit. So I'm spec Destruction at the moment. It's reasonably okay to play, as you can see by my UI. It's a lot barer than it used to be. In terms of talents, we've been quite lucky. The first three that you get at level 15. Obviously, you only get to pick one out of each row, but they're all similar to they're all your healing abilities. First one is a 3-minute cooldown one, which restores 50% of your maximum health and increases all healing done on you, which obviously can be very useful for raid. Say the healers are struggling because of boss damage, you could just pop that and give them a bit of a break with their mana. You've got your soul leech, which basically just gives you 10% of the damage you deal on your filler spells back as health, so that heals you. But also you've got something called Harvest Life, which is pretty much just if you remember Drain Life, it's just an AoE Drain Life, and it's, at the moment in beta, it's extremely powerful. You can run through most dungeons and just cast that and still get pretty good numbers. So, in this case, for leveling and dungeon, I pick Harvest Life for my first one. Obviously, they're all situational. None of them are mandatory either. So, the next row, which you get at level 30, is your stuns. You get pick of 3. You get your Howler Terror, your Mortal Coil, which is just Death Coil renamed pretty much, and obviously you got Shadow Fury, which used to be a Destruction talent, but you can pick out of that now. For dungeon purposes, I generally picked Shadow Fury. However, stuff like Howler Terror, generally just as useful. Mortal Coil, that would be very good for a PvP sort of thing. To be honest, all three of them would be. But I just thought Shadow Fury was the quickest and best, really, for dungeoning and possibly raids. Soul Link is now a choice. It's a talent rather than a... it's still a buff. You still cast it, but you don't naturally get it anymore. You can either have Soul Link, which is a constant, as it were before, as a constant that you and your demon sort of split the damage, and obviously your demon gets the healing that you do as well. It gets shared between. You've got Sacrificial Pact, which basically you just, as it says, you sacrifice your demon to give your as it says, your demon sacrifices half its current health to shield its master for 300% of the sacrificed health. So basically, 3% of the demon's health goes towards you, and it makes it makes an absorption shield that will absorb that much. If you have no demon, your health is sacrificed, but obviously you still get the shield, so you could be healed up while you're having that shield. And the third one in this particular row, I found it's a very useful raid sort of thing. It's basically made Warlocks viable for taking a one-hit now in raids, just like mages have been in the past for fights like Ultraxion. Because obviously this Dark Bargain, it prevents all damage for 10 seconds, and then 50% of the damage is then spread over 20 seconds, so it makes it pretty much very easily healable over that 20 seconds, as it's only 50% of the damage as well. So, that would be very good for raid, but if you're a lazy Warlock, Soul Link, as I'm about to pick, it's just something you don't have to worry about. You just cast it with your Dark Intent buff now. It's just another self buff. The next row is, I suppose you could call it a PvP row. You've got your Blood Fear, which can shoot, because it's a Warlock, you have to harm yourself in some way. You sacrifice 10% of your maximum health to instantly strike fear into the enemy, causing it to run in fear for up to 20 seconds. It's basically just a prolonged fear. I generally don't think it's worth talenting unless you're going to go hardcore PvP, because obviously that stun, the longer they're stunned, the better it's going to be. For PvE purposes, I don't think it's worth it. Burning Rush I thought was very interesting for PvE, because although it drains 3% of your maximum health per second, it increases your movement speed by 50%. So obviously if you're in something that you're not supposed to be in a raid, you can activate this, get healed up a bit, but also get out of the way and stop maybe getting one hit by a boss ability. The last thing is also a PvP thing. It, as usual, it consumes some of your health. It's about 20%, but it basically it's like a cleanse sort of thing. You lose it purges all magical effects from you, movement impairing effects, and all effects which cause you to lose control of your character. So it will get rid of fears, mind controls, any sort of debuff that people can put on you. And again, it's a very PvP sort of row. But I think Burning Rush generally is the only useful PvE one, so I usually click that one. At 75, you'll get to pick basically how you're going to fight with your pet. I mean, you've got the first one, which basically you just it's an upgraded version of each of your pets. So you'll get the upgraded pets will be 10% more damage. They will deal 10% more damage and have more powerful abilities, as it says on there. So, for instance, your imp that you use in destruction will become your fel imp, and your void lord is just a better void walker. Your Felguard, which you used to get in demonology, is now a Wrathguard or Shivara, I suppose. But yeah, basically just stronger pets. Grimoire of Service. If you remember your Doomguard and your Infernal, it's basically just the option to do that. You summon a powerful demon to fight alongside if you do a high amount of damage for 30 seconds. And then the last one, the Grimoire of Sacrifice, gets rid of your demon completely and gives you a 15% damage increase as well as health, but it lasts for 15 minutes. So, I mean, in my opinion, debatably, Grimoire of Supremacy and Grimoire of Sacrifice are sort of on par, but generally, for most people in beta at the moment, it's the Grimoire of Supremacy that generally is the talent that gets picked. I mean, Grimoire of Sacrifice is good, but obviously then you have to think about downtime when you summon a demon. Is it worth it just to have a demon that does 10% damage all the time, rather than have that burst of damage just for that bit, and then the downtime of obviously summoning the pet? So for my purposes, I'm going to choose Grimoire of Supremacy, so I don't have to worry about downtime of summoning pet. The damage is constant. The last row, which obviously I haven't unlocked yet because there's a level cap. At level 90 you will get an ability which it basically buffs the fuck out of you. So you got Archimonde's Vengeance, causes an enemy to suffer 30% of all damage you take and lasts 10 seconds. Obviously this is very extremely PvP viable. I mean, say you're getting raped on by some sort of warrior burst and you cast that on him, he's going to take a lot of damage, because as much damage as he's dealing on you, he's going to be dealing some of that on himself, as well as the passive ability, which is enemies who attack you suffer 5% of all damage they deal to you. This effect is disabled while on cooldown. The next one along is Kil'jaeden's Cunning. You can cast and channel while moving for 10 seconds. The problem is, you can do this, but when you do it, it increases the cast time of your of the spell by 50%. So it's debatable whether actually having that ability to move is actually worth sort of the cast time. But maybe, obviously it's early beta, the numbers may get changed, so it's more viable as a final talent. The last one is Manaroth's Fury, which increases the radius of your area effect spells by 200%. Obviously I haven't done any raids yet because they're not quite out, but it may be a situational talent. But I mean, Kil'jaeden's Cunning, in my opinion, is the weakest. If you're going to go for either, I'd probably go for Manaroth's Fury or Archimonde's Vengeance. I wouldn't personally go for Kil'jaeden's Cunning. I think it puts you at a bit of a disadvantage. So if we just learn all those talents there, right, we've got all those. If I just cycle through the pets and show you what the upgraded pets look like, the first one we've got is the fel imp, and because I'm in destruction I'll be using this. It's basically just a bigger imp. It's got different abilities. You've got Cauterized Master, which just heals the player. You've got Sear Magic, which burns a harmful effect, like a harmful magic effect off of the target. but it also says burns harmful magic off the target, removing 1 harmful spell for up to 5 friends within 15 yards of the target. So it's obviously it's very useful. It'd be brilliant for PvP. And yeah, obviously it's got Fell Bolt, which is just a stronger firebolt because it's the upgraded imp. The next pet I will show you is the Void Lord. It's actually been downsized, the actual physical model. It was a bit bigger at the beginning of the beta. It's still quite large, as you can see, but it has been downsized. Right, the abilities. The Void Lord strikes at the target's hand, disarming their weapons and shield for 10 seconds. So Void Lord can, another very PvP sort of move. You can disarm your target, piss off all the melee classes that try to hit you in the head. Suffering. The Void Lord taunts the target to attack it, but it has no effect, obviously, if the target is already attacking the Void Lord. That's just its taunt that it had before. You've got Torment, which is just a shadow damage. It causes, as well as a shadow damage attack, it causes a lot of threat for the Void Lord. Make sure things are attacking it. And Threatening Presence, which is always up, intimidates any target you attack, increasing your threat generation. So basically what they've done with the Void Lord is make it more, I suppose you could say, make it more tanky. It actually has sort of a threat ability before, because obviously before Pandaria, Void Lords generally they just had the taunt, and then you had to pray that you didn't sort of pull aggro off of the Void Lord, and the mob ended up killing you. The next pet I'll show is the Shavara, which is similar to the boss in Barren Hold. I've forgotten her name, but yeah, it's I suppose yes, it's the upgrade of the succubus. It's got the lesser invisibility that the succubus has. It's got the seduction, which is called mesmerize, which is the stunning of stun over target, but it prevents the target from doing anything for up to 30 seconds. Obviously, any damage caused will obviously disable the effect like it did with seduction before. Blade Dance is just a melee attack that causes shadow damage, and Fell Lash is just a knockback effect with shadow damage as well, similar to what the succubus did have. The last pet, which personally I think is very viable for Affliction, which I'm hoping to play, is the Observer. It's got a powerful ability. It's got like a spell steal almost. It steals 1 beneficial magic effect from an enemy. If an effect is devoured, the Observer will be healed for 5.5k and gain 60 energy. So it could purge maybe a shield off of a character and then receive healing itself if it's taking damage. Its filler attack is Tongue Lash, which is just a, as it says, lick the enemy, causing 6k shadow damage. So that's just its default attack while it's filling. And its powerful ability, called Optical Blast, is probably going to be part of like, say, if you set up a macro for your Affliction sort of burst, if you will, alongside of the old Demon Soul, which is now Dark Soul. You maybe put that in a macro to cast at the same time as Dark Soul, get that high burst of damage. It's got a 24-second cooldown on it, so it'll just have to be something you watch while you do your rotation. But yeah, generally the new pets and the new talents very, very good. As you can see down here, we've also got some survival abilities. We've got Unending Resolve, which is a 50% damage reduction, and for those PvPers, it prevents spells from being interrupted for 12 seconds, which we've never really had before. If you remember our old shield, it used to absorb, I think it was just shadow damage, but now it absorbs shadow or holy damage. It's called Twilight Ward, and it absorbs about 30k of this, and it lasts 30 seconds. So, in terms of survivability, Warlocks have really been buffed. But yeah, thanks for watching me go through the talents. I mean, obviously, what Blizzard wanted to avoid was a cookie cutter build. Keep checking up on the channel because I'll be uploading Destruction and Affliction rotation. See you later.